Total film includes these embellishments, which lead the caption into the photograph that it's associated with. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for us to take a closer look at stroke properties. We'll need to look at arrowheads, and we'll also need to look at how we can create a unique shape with the triangular portion of that pointer as well. So back in my layout here, I'm going to zoom into that portion where we have the caption. And then just for the moment, I'll keep the guides on screen. And I'm going to go back to my line tool. And before we do any drawing of any lines or any shapes, of course, we need to define the basic appearance of the fill and stroke, in other words. Again, strokes don't contain any fill, so we just need to specify what the color of this line will be. And it's going to be red light. I'll hit return to make the pop-up disappear. And it's going to be 0.5 points. Now this is going to be level with the top of the black lines that we see on screen here. So if I click and hold down the mouse, keep it held down and drag across to the right hand side, hold down the shift key to make sure this is a perfectly horizontal line. As you can see here, whilst I've still got my cursor held down and the shift key, the green lines on screen here are indicating that the thing that I'm drawing is level with the top of the black line. The green smart guide, as it's called, is connecting with the top of that path. It's also showing a green line shooting down the side of my column, so I know that this is the same width as my column as well. And by using the visual reference for the smart guides, I know that these elements are aligned together now. I'll let go of the mouse, then let go of the shift key. I'll press W to turn off grids and guides, and I'll go back to my line tool, hover over here, click and hold down the mouse, keep it held down. So I'm hovering directly over that red line, holding down the shift key and dragging up like so. And then I'll let go of the left mouse button to create that line. So it'll finish right on the edge of where the placeholder is to indicate where the photograph would be. Again, go back and select that and shift and left click on the red line underneath and then align to centers. And to ensure that our vertical red line is centered to not only the horizontal red line, but the column as well. I'll need to go to Window and then go down to Stroke to open up the properties for the stroke panel. And I'll just pull this out on screen here so we can see it a little bit closer. I'll left click on the vertical line. And then in terms of the arrowhead, we have a start and an end. So the start of the arrowhead is over on the left-hand side and the end of the arrowhead is on the right-hand side. So if I click on the drop-down menu, we have a handful of different types of arrowhead. So I'm going to choose in this case Circle Solid. When I do that, it makes the arrowhead finish exactly where the end of the line is. Now, it is possible to change the alignment to extend beyond the edge of your path. And that's what I'll do here. And then it sits it exactly in the right place. Now, in terms of the scale of that arrowhead, then I'm going to swipe over the current value and type in 280% to get this to the right size. And when I hit the return key, then it increases just the arrowhead in scale. So you'll notice here the two scaling options, they relate to either the end of the arrowhead or the start of the arrowhead. With that now complete, I'll click away and then I need to create the triangular portion. So I'm going to head across to my tools panel, click and hold down on whichever tool's visible and then switch to the polygon tool. Now normally if I was just to click and hold down the mouse and drag out, if I hold down the shift key to make that perfectly uniform in its width and height, it gives us a six-sided shape, a polygon. Now, because it has sides, we can modify that property. So if I just delete that and instead making sure that I've still got that tool selected, this time I'm going to remove the stroke from this, but set the fill. Also to be red light and then press return. I'm going to hover my cursor just to the side over the image window and left click and let go of the mouse. No dragging involved with this. And this makes sure that we call up the shapes dialog box. So in here, we need a polygon width of 3 millimeters and then a polygon height of 1.5. But in terms of the sides, if I drop that down, I can change that to 3, click OK, and I get the shape that I'm looking for. Switch to my selection tool, click and drag, and now actually the smart guides will snap in place. So if you see green lines on screen, that means it's trying to align to another shape in your layout. But the purple line you can see running up and down my image window, that's indicating that it's perfectly level with the column that we have and we're working in. And then I can just drag this down, holding down the Shift key to make sure it snaps into place in a vertical axis. Let go of the mouse. And then we have our completed shape. To make it easier to use this somewhere else, I'm going to select the line and then select the triangle and then Shift and left click last on the line at the bottom. I can then go to Object and choose Group. And then when I need to use it somewhere else, all I need to do is go to Edit, choose Copy, view my spread, pick up my zoom tool, zoom into where the other caption is, and go to Edit, Paste. Just make sure if I turn my grids and guides on that is right in the middle of my column and positioned on that baseline. Now, of course, it's not long enough to extend and then attach to the other thumbnail images in there. But if I hover my cursor over that line and double left click, it is a group, but you can edit the contents of a group by double left clicking on any element that's a part of that group. If I hover my cursor over that line and the end, I can click and drag upwards. I can then make that longer, click away. If I left click, it's still part of a group. So that's an efficient way of being able to create several components, group them together, and then copy and paste them wherever you need. And in the case of a line or a diagram, you just double left click on the group and modify the one thing that you need to change the appearance of. So those are some of the capabilities that we have in the stroke panel for changing the appearance of our lines.